Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Boston Celtics just dropped a game on the road that I thought they would win, 101 to 103, vice versa, of course. This was the third game of this series installment, and now you have the Bucks up 2-1. So Giannis Antetokounmpo was completely amazing. Went off for 42 points. Did a bunch of things on the defensive end, bunch of blocks, bunch of steals, eight assists, several rebounds. I think double-digit rebounds. So he was just phenomenal all night long. And Jason Tatum was a complete opposite. Had 10 points. I think he was 4 of 19. I think it was. Did have 4 blocks, but it was one of those situations where I honestly think that Jason Tatum, he got the breakaway dunk on Giannis Antetokounmpo, and when that happened, he came down and came down kind of funny. I think he tweaked his ankle a little bit, and I think something else went wrong, maybe a wrist or something as well. And when that happened, he immediately started breaking everything. Couldn't hit a rock, couldn't make a shot after that, I should say. Nothing was going for the guy, but the problem was he kept shooting. And none of his attempts seemed to be within 15 feet. So he's constantly jacking up threes, 0 for 6, jacking up mid-range shots, not hitting them. It was a very, very bad night. And the sad thing was, I was thinking, man, did my Laker karma just inadvertently harm Jason Tatum? Because I was sitting here earlier in my video, if you watch me, you heard me saying I think Jason Tatum should have the confidence that he should be feeling like he's as good as Giannis, and I think he can affect the floor in so many different ways. And if he attacks and does what he needs to do, he can help the team win and all these different things. I was singing his praises, just essentially saying be confident, go out there and do it. I can't do nothing nice for a Celtic. I can't say anything nice for a Celtic, even if I mean it from a good place. The universe is not going to allow. I'm a Laker fan, like literally. We're at war, so that's what ended up happening. My apologies to Jason Tatum, but all in all, he was anemic, man. These coaches teach keep shooting. When it's not falling, keep shooting. But the problem is when you're shooting, others aren't, and sometimes those guys may have it going. Jaylen Brown's percentages were pretty good tonight, and he was getting to the line, hitting all his free throws. So that was a situation where maybe you want Jason Tatum to look for your boy there. Obviously, Al Horford, if you watch tonight's game, Al Horford was phenomenal. Had like 16 boards, 20-something points, had 4 or 5, I think it was 4 threes that he hit. He had it going. Now, I'm not saying he should have been shooting more because you don't want Al Horford doing too much. But those possessions were lost. I look at Derek White. He's been struggling lately, but he was a +9 tonight. I think he had double-digit points, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe you want a few more shots to go to him. So these are the type of things that the Celtics were dealing with. As we've discussed, I feel like I predicted this, unfortunately. But the scoring droughts, before it became a thing, I said, the Celtics tend to go on these natural scoring droughts because their stars don't find themselves to be the most consistent scorers. This is something that they've dealt with this duo the entire time they've had them, 5 years, however long it's been, is that these two guys just tend to just stop scoring. They're capable of scoring, but I personally don't know if they melt on, to the pressure of the defense, or if it's just a situation where they get tired legs. I don't watch them, so I have no idea. But that's what it's always been. They always end up just they're running cold. So tonight it was Jason Tatum's turn to run cold, but I think it's going to be kind of a challenge to kind of get him to find the balance between finding your shot and knowing when you are becoming a detriment to your team, trying to find your shot. Because tonight it's a playoff game. You're on the road. Your team is playing fantastic defense, and you're a great part of that. So no one wants to remove you from the floor because of that. But then you go on the other side of the floor and you're jacking up shots that don't give your team any chance. That's just really what I saw down there. There was a lot of that. Now, obviously, the game was very close at the end. You saw fantastic big shots hit by guys like Drew Holiday and, again, Al Horford. These guys hit huge shots. Giannis was, of course, phenomenal throughout the entire time. And, you saw great defensive plays on both ends. Obviously, both teams are great defensively naturally, so you're going to see them go at it in that way. I thought what was interesting with this game was the fact that the shooting percentages were very similar. Both teams couldn't hit a three to save their lives in the 20 percentile. Their field goal range shooting wasn't all that great, if I'm not mistaken. And then their free throw percentages were almost identical. Having the Boston Celtics go to the line twice as much, though. So, for whatever that's worth, the Celtics found a way to draw fouls. But, if you look at the foul, difference, it was only 26-20. So, however that equates, it is what it is. At the end of the day, the Celtics did not take advantage of that by getting a victory because they couldn't stop Giannis Antetokounmpo. He just repeatedly did whatever he wanted. He used his athleticism and his evasiveness to continue to get into the paint and just score at will. And because of it, his team had 52 points in the paint. So you got to give credit there. Bobby Portis was huge out there. I really like seeing him kind of, play peacemaker in a way to kind of get Grant Williams off of Giannis Antetokounmpo in that situation where there was a bit of a little scrum there. Not really a scrum, but they had gotten tangled up in a way. And he picked him up, kind of made sure Grant Williams' full body weight didn't fall on Giannis. And I was saying to myself, every team needs a Bobby Portis to make sure that you can just make sure your star is straight. Nobody, you know what I mean? You're not going to be able to do anything that would put Giannis in any harm's way in his presence. He going to be involved. And I thought that's what you want to see your teammate do no matter what his role is. So, that was something that stood out. Grayson Allen was 0 for 3. My mentality in regards to Grayson Allen is that he needs to shoot more, but throughout the course of the game, seeing how their offense was being run, it was basically Giannis picking and choosing how and where the ball went. So he was 0 for 3, but you don't want to see him try to take control of the ball and force shots or try to do something outside of what they're doing. So within the course of the game, I'm guessing he took the shots he needed to take. He didn't make them. You want to see him be more aggressive, but I think their offense was kind of set up a certain way today. So you just let that be. You saw good play from guys like Wesley Matthews. He was out there doing some good things for them, playing defensively on really, really at a high level. And you just got to continue to appreciate the consistency that he's showing there. Brook Lopez, been fantastic all playoffs long. They couldn't have won this game without him. Absolutely not. The things he was doing out there, scoring continuously, rebounding. It was a good performance from him. Who else? All in all, you got to give credit to both teams. They both fought really, really hard. The adjustments made from last game to this game, you could clearly see that Udoka's trying to figure out how to get this team to score the ball. And I think settling for jump shots just isn't the way for the Boston Celtics. I know they have jump shooters, but, they're not a efficient jump shooting team. They have guys who can hit shots, but you're not necessarily going to get too far if everything that you shoot is contested and far away from the rim. And that's exactly what you saw happen there. Jason Tatum, I think he may have attempted 2 or 3 shots in the paint. Everything else he attempted were jump shots. You know what I mean? And that defense is going to contest. As I said, you're not going to get those shots off, so you do better just passing those up and looking for other places to go. And look, this is one of those situations where the Bucks didn't leave you any room to make mistakes. If you passed up you passed up an open shot, that's the only one you're going to get. It was that kind of defense going on down there on both sides. These are elite defenses, and I think a lot of the bad shooting that we saw was contributed to the fact that they worked so hard on the defensive end. So, both of these teams, it's like they're kicking and falling. You seeing players hit the ground multiple times in the same play, stuff like that. It's like, all right. And then they're supposed to get up and have the legs to shoot threes. It just, no. We know better. So that's going to be the balance and the challenge really for both teams. But particularly the Boston Celtics, since they now found themselves down in this series with another game to play on the road. It's not looking like you can really breathe. I guess you can say there's no breathing room for either team. You have to continue to keep your pedal to the metal and bull through what the challenges are, which is defense for both teams. But I think the problem that the Boston Celtics are running into is that they don't have Giannis and the Bucks do. It is literally that simple. That's what's going on down there. Giannis is a step or three ahead of everyone else on the floor, and that is not a question. There is no question about that. However, I do believe that Jason Tatum, there is a lot for him to learn from this game. And if he's feeling the frustration of this game, he should understand that the only reason why things were so bad is because most of what he was doing was forced. Once you start incorporating more passing, more opening up the game up for yourself by using others as a means of doing that for you. You know what I mean? That's when you're going to see the evolution of Jason Tatum from where he is to where he wants to be. You saw him trying to get himself going, which is always an offensive player's job, but not to the detriment of their own situation, especially in the playoffs. And that's it, Getting those other guys going. You learn from James Harden. If I'm Jason Tatum, I'm looking at James Harden. Because James Harden realizes that his efficiency isn't there. So what is he doing? He's turning his attention to making sure others get the ball. He's turning his attention to making sure that he's doing the other things that help on the offensive end and certainly not hurting his efficiency. You know what I mean? I think that's what needs to be preached more for these youngsters is efficiency and shot selection. And the defense has you covered, let it go. You don't want to force something because it starts getting in your head when you start seeing the ball brick. Now, when you do go inside, you're shooting floaters and those are bricking too. In my mind, it's because it's in your head. You've seen the ball brick so many times. Now you're thinking about it. You're adjusting in ways that you otherwise wouldn't. And I think that's what was happening to Jason Tatum. You just continue to see the unraveling. It got to a point where his shot selection was just getting worse and worse and worse. It got to a point where some of the shots he was forcing weren't really all that contested. He was just breaking those, and it was like, all right, bro, you're stepping into off-balance, fully contested shots that are not even in your rhythm. It's like that's not going to fall. You're letting it go, knowing that's not going to fall. At some point in time, you just got to tell yourself, okay, this is becoming a problem, and I need to find some other way to help my team. So I didn't see Jason Tatum do that, and I do believe that's ultimately why he lost, to be completely honest with you. It's going to boil down to a lot of things. Of course, it came down to one shot, one play, this kind of rebound that, obviously if you want to talk about the game specifically, you're talking about Al Horford and the play at the end where he had just a second too late. His hand was still holding the ball as it was being tipped in. They had like 3 or 4 offensive rebounds in the closing seconds of this game. And that just lets you know how tough these two teams were playing. You think about hitting your free throws, you think about, things of that nature. But all in all, it really does come down to just in the meat of the game, the second and third quarter, you're just sitting there watching Jason Tatum just join brick after brick, boink, gloink, gloink, and it's just going the other way. Fast breaks for the Bucks the other way. And it's like, that's hard to overcome. They did kind of break into that and kind of work into a situation where they started making it close, but the time started running out on them and stuff like that. Al Horford had it going. He was being amazing in the fourth quarter, but you figure if you could have got more out of, if you could have utilized him more throughout that process, obviously your team is looking pretty good, because the Bucks aren't scoring over you either. So, yeah, I do think both teams still have a lot to consider about the offensive end. At the end of the day, the Bucks are not out of the woods. They got a lot of guys that were 1 for and 0 for as well. You just need the others in these playoffs to find their confidence, and I see that across the board in just about every team. You just want the other guys, the guys who are not superstars, the guys who are not starters, to be consistent in these playoffs. And whoever has the best bunch of those guys, it seems, has a great shot. I ain't gonna say it's the best chance to win, but has a very, very strong shot at outlasting whatever's thrown at them. So that's what I think, man. Depth is key. All right, so this game is a wrap. 103-101 once again, and we are looking at the Bucks being up 2-1, who I think are going to continue to clog that paint. They are not going to stop doing that. It's working, and so far without Middleton, they've looked fantastic. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the world. I don't think there's any conversation that needs to be had about that. Now, whether or not he's the MVP of this season, I don't know. But this is his league right now. And I've been sure of that all season long. So that he seems to overcome the impossible is not surprising. That he was able to score 42 points on defense like this, it's not surprising. And, the Boston Celtics are just going to have to continue to chip away. This is one of those situations where you're going up against an immovable object. He's going to take his pound of flesh, but you just got to keep pushing. That's how you got to do it with a guy like this in terms of your mentality of overcoming an immovable object. You just got to keep pulsing at it. You just got to keep throwing your defense at it. You just got to keep pushing. And in Giannis's, point of view, from his standpoint, he needs to continue to look for his guys, because that has taken so much pressure off of him. He hasn't taken as much punishment because those other guys have hit shots. They need to get their rest so they can have their legs to hit those shots, especially at home. That's so important. And that's what you've seen. They happily took care of a game in Boston, so now they have home court advantage. And this series is up 2-1 on their end. So that's it. That's what I got. I'm going to go check out the other game and, of course, get to you guys on that. BDF 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.